I have some very good news to talk about right now before I dive into this Assassination Classroom anime review. Assassination Classroom is getting a Season 2. It was announced earlier this morning. It was announced right before I decided to take a nap for a while, and I was just too tired to make a video, but Assassination Classroom is getting a Season 2. This is some very good news for all fans of Assassination Classroom, because we are getting a fucking Season 2 that is going to happen right after Season 1. I mean, Season 1's already 20-something episodes, and for Season 2 to be announced, that means all the events going on in the manga, probably up to Chapter 100, is going to be getting animated. And that right there, that's some wonderful fucking news, because that means this series is going to be adapted properly. I know all manga readers of this series right now are probably jumping for joy to this news of a Season 2 of Assassination Classroom already being announced. So, getting into the details when it comes to this episode of Assassination Classroom, we find out a major weakness, two major weaknesses of Koro-sensei. One weakness is this type of chemical spray that makes it to where Koro-sensei's mucus runs out and then he gets soggy from water. And with the fact that leads into his second weakness. This water, or any type of water, if his mucus runs out, his body will swell up and he won't be able to move like he should, and this is a very vital weakness. That means Koro-sensei cannot get in water, and this has been foreshadowed with the bathtub scene when Koro-sensei solidified the entire water. So I like the way that was foreshadowed, the way that was dived into with the foreshadowing on that. That's fucking nice. That's really nice. Now I appreciate the writer of the series doing something like that, especially with a comedy aspect of the series. Now, one thing about this episode that's a reoccurring theme is just seeing how Koro-sensei's biggest weakness is his students. And that's what they really discover in this episode. And honestly, it was very obvious by now that Koro-sensei's greatest weakness was his fellow students. But to see how they finally caught on and realized that Koro-sensei went out of his way and almost died just to save his students goes to show you how much, you know, he cares. But we get some hints that Koro-sensei wasn't really done for. Like, he wasn't officially fucked in this episode. Like, he could have easily have gotten out of all that issues that he had, because he has a couple of tricks hiding up his sleeve. For one thing, the dude in the robe, like the outfit that covers his face, we find out that that dude mentions that Koro-sensei has antimatter. And if that is true, anti-fucking matter, or Koro-sensei has something like that, what the fuck? Like, whoa! That's crazy. Antimatter for Koro-sensei? So, I wonder who is going to push him that far to use something like that, because that is deadly. Now, one thing also with this episode, I like the way the animation was done. I don't know if it's just me, but the animation of this episode of Assassination Classroom felt a lot better than recent episodes of Assassination Classroom. And that's not saying the episodes were bad, I'm just saying the animation of this episode, which was so much better than previous episodes. And I'm liking the way the budget in this series is just so top quality. You'd think a series is getting 20-something episodes, and then a Season 2 on top of that would have some form of bad animation or animation drips every so often. But I haven't really noticed bad animation often when it comes to Assassination Classroom, which is just something you don't see in an average anime that could last this long. And so I have to give props to the studio that is adapting Assassination Classroom. So getting back on topic, the episode, it kind of gives some characterization for, I think the dude's name is Roma. I think that's the dude's name. But we get some characterization on this character that's kind of been, you know, in the spotlight on the first episode and kind of got pushed aside. And he finally comes up to the front and center of the spotlight with this episode. And we get to see some characterization, what he truly thinks about what is going on with Koro-sensei and his, you know, position in society. He finds out he's that type of man that needs to be on the field. Like, he's the person that needs to take action. He's not the person that could sit behind a desk and, you know, command people. He's that type of person that likes to be out on the field and doing things. Like, for instance, let's say you were an FBI officer that was investigating things out in the field. That's what he would want to do. He wants to be a person that's on the field and taking action against whoever. And so we kind of figure out where he would stand in society and what his role would be with these assassinations. And also, too, I wonder eventually if there's going to come a time to where the students are going to try to use the weakness of Koro-sensei, you know, his weaknesses as students against him, because I highly doubt they would, but something like that eventually is going to happen. Something very bad like that is going to happen, because the way it's been set up recently, the way that kind of theme has been reoccurring throughout the entire series, I feel like the dudes in the top branches of government that's trying to kill Koro Sensei might eventually take all the students as hostage and try to kill them. Even say, Koro Sensei, if you don't do what we say, we're going to kill them all. I'm willing to bet something like that is going to happen. I'm willing to bet something like that will happen, because it's way too obvious the way the foreshadowing and the setup is done with these certain specific scenes that it's going towards that type of direction in the future. Koro Sensei is going to be in a spot where his students are about to get killed by whoever's in the top branches of government, and he's probably going to try to sacrifice himself. That's a possibility. I'm calling it right now. I'm fucking calling that. I am calling that shit right now. That's probably going to happen. Now, with the announcement of a Season 2, I don't know if I'm going to start the manga now, because fucking Season 2. Like, I didn't really read the article to see when Season 2 is going to start. I know a Season 2 has been announced. I don't know if Season 2 is going to start up right after the 22nd episode of Assassination Classroom. I have no idea if it is or not, so I'll have to look at it after this video. But if it does start up, like, right after, I'm not even going to read the manga. I'm just going to chill and watch the anime, because I was going to read the manga once the anime ended, because no more content. I was going to go read the manga. So now that Season 2 has been announced, I have no idea. We'll have to see where it goes. But tell me your thoughts of Assassination Classroom. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.